Sega. For the past 4 or 5 years, Sega's been picking up some pretty nasty habits. You might not know it, seeing how a lot of the internet is currently celebrating all of the past releases it's had and how successful they've been, but if you're any kind of savvy to the gaming world, then you will probably know a lot of the more nefarious things Sega has been up to lately. Digital Deluxe Editions, DRM, pre-order bonuses, Day 1 DLC, cut content, and incomplete games. If you don't like hearing any of those words, I recommend you leave your mean comment and dislike the video now, because you're going to be hearing them a lot. The point of this video is to go through and catalog a lot of the crummy things Sega's been doing lately. Why? Because I love a lot of their IPs, right? I've been a fan of Sonic the Hedgehog since I was a child, and I do also enjoy Yakuza quite a bit. From the one game I've played of it, Yakuza 0. By the way, if you haven't played Yakuza 0, go play Yakuza 0, it's pretty good. The point is I enjoy their franchises, and I think that they can and should do better. That's what this video is about. Disclaimer, I think it's important to note that I'm not a complete idiot. I do know that most of these problems are with the production of Sega and not the developers/teams that make the actual games. I would assume that most developers just want to make like the best possible game they can. And it's clear that a lot of time, energy, love, and passion has gone into some aspects of these games. I just wanted to point that out before somebody goes down and writes a mean old comment about how they want to throw me into like a wind turbine for not thinking Persona 3 Reload is like the greatest gift of God or something. Speaking of Persona 3 Reload, February 2nd, 2024, Persona 3 Reload, a remake/remaster of Persona 3 in the gameplay style of Persona 5. The game launched with multiple editions and in-game content as pre-order bonuses. That means Day 1 DLC, baby! We got tons of little miscellaneous goodies from $2 to $6 that are basically, costumes, personas, background music, and they're all mainly referencing Persona 4 and 5. This is the kind of content that's a fun unlockable in video games, you know, little outfits and stuff referencing previous things in the franchise. It has really no place being Day 1 DLC whatsoever. If it was done Day 1, it should have been in the base game. There's no excuse for it. Players who purchased the Digital Deluxe Edition on Steam got their art book and soundtrack as Unreal Engine apps instead of, you know, PDF files and MP3 or FLAC or WAV files. It is industry standard to use these file types, and there is, again, no reason for them to do this other than to just be assholes. You can just find this stuff on the internet, right? You can just download the Persona 3 soundtrack from some rando on the internet. So if you're gonna lock it behind a paywall anyways, you might as well give players a safe and convenient way to download it. Some content from previous versions of the game, though, Portable and Fez, sorry, I haven't played those yet, I have no idea, are not in the remake. Data miners, however, found that there is mention of those next to the label DLC within the game's files. This has led a lot of people to believe that they have cut the content from the game to then put it in later as paid DLC, that way you can, you know, drum up more hype for the game. Is it possible that it just wasn't done yet? Maybe. But if it wasn't done yet, and they felt that it was important enough for players to play, then they should have waited to release the game until it was done. Especially since this is supposed to be like the new definitive way to play the game, and this is cut content from a previous version of the game. It's like if they remade Sonic Adventure 2 and didn't include the battle mode. I would be furious. There's no reason to not include it. It's just in bad taste, right? This is the kind of stuff that should be dealt with before the game even releases. The base game is $70, by the way, not including any of the Day 1 cut content. January 26th, 2024, Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth. It is, of course, the latest entry in the Yakuza/Like a Dragon series. The game launched with multiple editions and in-game content as pre-order bonuses. That yet again means Day 1 DLC, baby. We got outfits, in-game level boosters, karaoke music, job sets, and the hot topic of discussion, the Master Vacation mode, which is New Game Plus. That's right, the feature that's been common in video games for 20 plus years is paid DLC now. I'm sure that you can guess my opinion on this. Content like this has been a staple of the series, and it makes no sense for them to cut it other than just money. They don't even have the excuse of like, it wasn't finished yet, we gotta put more polish on it, we're making it even better than ever. It's Day 1 DLC. Because fuck you, I guess. Something that's not getting much attention is level boosters. This is a single-player game that gives you the ability to spend real-world money to level up your digital character. That means there is now an incentive for developers to make the game worse so that you are more likely to spend money on it. Now, is that what's happening? Maybe. I don't know. The problem is neither do you. No one does, and you cannot factually rule that out as a possibility. And if you guys don't think SEGA, like every other AAA game developer, isn't spending thousands upon thousands of dollars to research exactly how to get you to spend as much money in their video games as possible, you're an idiot. They're a business. That's literally what they're designed to do. Also, if you feel compelled to spend real-world money to level up your digital character in a game, the developers have done a shitty job at making a video game. Video games are supposed to be fun. Even the grindy parts of it are supposed to be fun. It's a video game. That's the whole point. You're supposed to be having fun. Again, the other DLC is just cut content that should have been in the game anyway, just fun unlockables, so moving on. October 17th, 2023, Sonic Superstars, a new multiplayer 2D Sonic game that has the gameplay style of the classic Sonic games, but the multiplayer aspect of something like the new Super Mario Bros. Series. The game launched with, guess what, multiple editions and day one DLC as pre-order bonuses. You might be tired of me saying that. I'll stop saying it when they stop doing it. Most of the stuff is just outfits, which certainly isn't the most offensive thing on this list, but again, I want to drive home the fact that outfits used to be unlockables in games. Like a lot of this stuff is obviously cut just to drum up hype. Modern Amy was cut from the game and used as marketing material for a newsletter. They wanted you to sign up for a newsletter to get a free skin. Why? I don't know, so they could steal your email address. I don't fucking know. The Shadow skin just got released. Why? Because there's a bunch of Shadow stuff happening this year. You know, Sonic X Shadow Generations, the third movie's coming out. Like, they're just using it as marketing material, but I guarantee that it was done a while ago. They also cut and are selling separately alternate main menu screens. Why? That's like the worst possible thing you could cut and try to sell to somebody. Oh, you want the picture on your game to boot up differently? That'll be $5. What a fucking joke, man. Fun fact, you know that awful shit I talked about, Persona 3 Reload with its art book and its soundtrack on Steam? Yeah, that happened in this game first. That's right, it's the same individual computer apps that let you access the soundtrack and art book instead of just giving you PDF files and music files. It's not even clearly stated on the Steam webpage that that's what you're getting. The only thing that would let you know that is the overwhelmingly negative reviews. $60 game, by the way, without all the day one cut content, and without all the content that they are inevitably going to drip feed us for the next year or two. February 6th, 2023, Sonic Colors Ultimate, a slightly updated port of the Wii game. This game launched with, reminder, this game came out on the Wii, like I just said, this is a remaster, multiple editions, and day one DLC. For a remaster. The cut content was music packs, content based on the Sonic movie that came out, and gold and silver gloves and shoes. Why couldn't this just be in the base game? I don't know. It was obviously cut out of the game, and then sold to you separately. Because it came out day one. But why would they make it movie cosmetics? In fact, gold and silver items and skins and stuff used to be something that are, like, championed in the gaming world, right? Earlier COD titles would let you unlock gold guns if you got really proficient with them. It was kind of like a mark, you know? If you saw someone running around with a gold gun, it's like, oh, shit, he plays the game. Also, the game had early access only if you bought the digital Deluxe edition. Also known as, hey, fucker, the game's done, but unless you pay us more money, you have to wait a few days. Because fuck you, that's why. It was also exclusive on the Epic Game Store for a while for PC. It is on Steam now, but why? To be fair, Epic's done that a lot with a lot of games. I'm sure they just hand them a giant bag of cash, and that's why it happens, but still scummy, still shouldn't do that. And finally, by the way, we can't forget the absolute disastrous launch of Sonic Colors Ultimate. We are talking bugs and glitches that would actually trigger epileptic episodes just everywhere in the game. Dude, it would take a miracle from God himself to let you play the 1.0 release of this game and not experience game-breaking bugs. It's that bad. For a port of a Wii game. Anyways, moving on. June 22nd, 2022, Sonic Origins. A compilation of Sonic 1, 2, 3, Knuckles, and CD, all in one package with newly animated cutscenes that kind of help bring the whole story together. This game launched with multiple editions and day one DLC. These are 30-year-old games, by the way. There were also a lot of bugs reported for this game's release. That might be blown out of the water. I'm not going to do the research on that. I just don't care enough. But there's more important things to talk about. Missions, screen borders, music, and main menu animations were cut and sold to us as day one DLC. Let's just skip past the music, the missions, and the screen borders, which are all awful, by the way. That should just be unlockables in the base game. But let's focus on the big thing here. They cut the option to move the fucking main menu around. I'm not fucking with you. Do you want to zoom in on the main menu to see the little diorama world they got going on? That'll be $5. You guys remember in Mario 64 when you could, like, grab his nose and boing his face around? Yeah, that's essentially what they're selling you separately for $5. You're fucking with me. Like, this is actually a nightmare. There's no way they got away with this shit, right? This is insane. But see, you wouldn't know any of that, because the Steam release of Sonic Origins Plus completely wiped out all them Steam reviews. Which is just some unforgivable shit. They also took out Ice Cap Zone's music and replaced it with something else, because they were too cheap to pay royalties to Michael Jackson, so... That's also some unforgivable shit. I'll never forgive you. That song was a banger. And now for the final game that I want to go in depth on. This one's honestly the one that cut me the most. It cut me the deepest. It was kind of the catalyst of this whole video. Honestly, it's one of the greatest tragedies in the past decade of gaming. October 4th, 2021. Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania. This game is an anniversary title that takes over 300 levels and some minigames from the first few Super Monkey Ball games and remakes them and compiles them all into one game that plays more like the original games and less like all of the modern games, which has been a criticism of the fans. They love the original three, and they're like, hey, these new ones, not good. Multiple editions, pre-order bonuses, and day one DLC. The cut content was skins, characters, and music. Now, you might be wondering, Zach, how is it that some skins and some music and stuff is any worse than what we have talked about? I mean, Sega's already cut entire game modes and main menu stuff around. How could it get worse than that? So, let me break it down for you, Mark. Part of the content that they cut and chose to sell separately was the original models of the old Monkey Ball characters and the original soundtrack from the original games. They cut the anniversary content out of the fucking anniversary game. How do you do that? I was at a loss for words, okay? Like, I didn't know what to think. You know that feeling you get when you tell your parents you did something bad and they're just like, you know, I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed. Yeah, that was me. That was me with this game. The fact that the developers actually tried to sit down and recapture the magic of the original Monkey Ball games, which are insanely good. You should play Monkey Ball 1 and 2 if you haven't, in Deluxe. The fact that they tried that and got so close and then realized, hey, wait a minute, BRB, gotta take a shit on my fans real quick. You're fucking with me. I simply couldn't believe it. Did you guys know that in Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver, at some point in the game, you can actually unlock the Game Boy soundtrack from the originals, and it just plays throughout the whole game, and you can go swap it back and forth whenever you want. Did you guys also know that in the Master Chief Collection, at least for one of the games, you can just press a button on the keyboard at any point, and it'll just swap the textures back to the original release of Halo, and you can just keep pressing it. You can just swap back and forth as much as you want. These kinds of games, anniversary games, remakes, remasters, are supposed to be fun celebrations of the games and people that got you where you are today. The whole point of these games is a second shot to make your beloved title even better, even greater, right? So what the fuck are you doing? No, for Sega, they're just saying fuck you, okay? What's that? You want your Persona remake to have all the content from the older versions compiled into one great new game? Go fuck yourself. What's that? You want to change the main menu? Go fuck yourself, $10. What's that? You want to play as the original models to the Super Monkey Balls and listen to that banger soundtrack? Go fuck yourself, that'll be $10. That's all the games I'm going to go super in-depth on, though. Here's a long list of all of the other SEGA games that have some combination of multiple editions, pre-order bonuses, day one DLC, cut content, and Denuvo DRM. Oh, yeah, that's right, we didn't talk about Denuvo DRM yet. Denuvo is a piece of DRM, or digital rights management, that companies like to put in their games that, in theory, prevents piracy. In practice, it slows down game load times, it hurts the frame rates of video games, making them play worse. It usually requires some form of semi-regular connection to the internet, even for single-player games that don't even have an internet function whatsoever. And, oh yeah, it's usually pointless because within 1 to 2 days, sometimes a couple weeks, games will get cracked and then pirated freely. In fact, pirates usually remove the DRM, which means if you pirated the video game, you are statistically more likely to have a better experience playing the game than the people who actually paid for it. Isn't that fun? And yeah, basically every game that we talked about today still has Denuvo DRM in it. Don't believe me? Go check the Steam page, it says it on the side. To my knowledge, this really isn't a console issue, it's just a PC thing, but like, it still needs to be mentioned. Again, here's that giant list of games that probably have some combination of all the shitty things we just talked about. But Zach, the time crunch, the developers don't have the time for it. They have to meet deadlines. It's not the studio's fault, it's Sega's. They need to meet their quarterly whatever the fucks, investors, Zach. Zach, they need to separate some of this content to avoid paying so much in licensing fees. The used market is gonna kill off the company. They have to make sure they're getting some money somehow. I don't care. I don't care. I mean, I do care. I find the game industry stuff fascinating on like the hows and whys things get complete. But as a consumer, I don't give a shit. I care about 3 things when it comes to buying a video game, okay? 1, does the game look fun? 2, does the game look like it's worth the amount of money that I'm paying for it? And 3, is the game complete? No microtransactions, no day one DLC, no pre-order bonus, no bullshit, right? Is the game done? Is it complete in one package? And if any of those 3 are no, I don't buy the game. Now, what we could sit here and ask is, what makes a game complete? Which is a much more in-depth and, intricate question here. What is the difference between day one DLC and day one updates? In the modern era of gaming, day one updates are super common. And if there's different versions, then is the physical copy you buy really ever the complete edition? And I think that's a very hard question to answer, because it's going to depend on the game. Especially since we've always had different versions of video games. Even way back on the NES, there's different versions of games with different bug fixes. But I think we can all agree that there's a difference between something like version 1.0 of Super Mario Odyssey and version 1.0 of Cyberpunk 2077. One game's updates adds a funny little balloon hide-and-seek game and VR support. The other game's updates actually let you play the game because it was such a buggy mess at launch. Sega isn't the only company doing this, there's a bunch of other ones, but I do enjoy a lot of Sega's IPs, which is why I'm upset about this and wanted to make a video on it. I swear to God, dude, if I see one more trailer for a video game and I get genuinely excited, and then right at the end of the trailer they throw at you 5 editions of the game and a shit ton of pre-order bonus garbage and some extra crap you can buy on day one, I'm gonna go to the top of a very large building and just throw myself off of it. That's pretty much everything I wanted to bitch about, though. If you watched this long, you probably enjoyed it, or maybe didn't. Either way, let me know down in the comments, hit all those funny YouTube buttons. There's a lot of other problems with modern gaming that I could make a video for, but let's be real, There's a billion other people on the platform that have probably already made those videos, so if I was to make another thing like this, it would have to be pretty special, and that's gonna take a while. But yeah, that's it. Oh yeah, dude, while I have you here, let's predict Sonic X Shadow Generations. I think on the game's launch, people are going to be quite upset because it's just going to be Sonic Generations again, with barely any improvements. The Shadow story will be its own separate thing, kind of like a Bowser's Fury situation. And it'll probably be pretty good, but it'll have bugs. It probably won't run super duper well, but it'll run, I guess. There will be some kind of cosmetic promotion with either the new movie or Sonic Adventure 2. And those will either be, I don't know, pre-order bonuses, a newsletter, some form of day one cut content. And if they're feeling real ballsy, I mean like really cruising for a bruising, they will remove the pinball DLC from the original release of the game and make you pay for it again. That'll be $5 to $10. Thank you, everybody. It was a great night. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye. You guys think this video was good?